All three of my children are learning musical instruments at the moment. They're still at the early stages, so the practice is only done in front of their mum or dad. But just recently, my daughter had the joy of being invited along to the City Hall to play along with a number of children with a big band. She was very excited about it all, and we were very proud parents, of course. But it occurred to me as I was sat listening to her and watching the big band that not only was it doing the world of good for her confidence, but she was also learning something about the key skill of listening. So learning to play an instrument is about not only listening to yourself, but listening to the instruments around you. That's the difference between practicing on your own and playing with an orchestra or a band. It occurred to me that the skill of listening then is not only important for a musician, but indeed in many other areas of life. And these 10 days of prayer are as much about learning to listen, I think, as about bringing our requests to God. So alongside those requests, we also want to hear from God and to listen to what God is saying to us as a diocese at this moment in time. It occurs to me as well that for the church in our diocese, this also touches on all three of our key strategy documents. So when we think about growing the church, and we believe we've been called by God to grow the church, in other words, we've heard God's call to grow the church, we know that we have to listen as well as proclaim. If we want to proclaim the gospel in a way that people will hear and accept, then we have to have taken time to build the relationships and to hear about their concerns and so on. Similarly, when it comes to our strategy around salt and light, or serving our society as we're calling it, again, we can't serve people unless we've listened and taken the time to hear about their concerns and their needs. That's why we've asked, as part of the strategy, for each church to appoint somebody, a volunteer, who can gather information about what you're hearing from your local community and feed that into the Board of Faith and Justice so that we can then hear the wider voices from across the whole of the diocese. Again, that skill of listening is key to serving our society. And then within our third strategy, reimagining ministry for mission, where we're talking about clergy and lay people working together in partnership, and also about churches working in partnership with one another, we know that partnership can only happen when we listen to one another. If we think we've got all the answers already, then we're never going to be able to genuinely work in partnership with others. We need to be able to listen to them. So I hope that in these 10 days of prayer, we can all begin that whole cycle of learning to listen. Somebody said to me recently that it takes 10,000 hours to learn a key skill. Well, that may apply to my daughter if she wants to be a top flute player, but I think maybe it also applies to us if we want to excel at the skill of listening to God, then it only comes through regular practice. So why not set aside some time for these 10 days of prayer to listen to God, but also to listen to the wider community, to those we want to serve, to those we want to proclaim the gospel to, and also to one another within the church.